What's going on, everybody? How in the world are you guys doing today? Hey, for you guys who know who I am and know what I do it every time we're on Facebook. I say, what's going on? Today, guys, we got a special person here with us. Her name is Pam Hill. She is a resident of Allegheny, North Carolina. We go to church together here at Cornerstone. And Pam, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you.
We call it the YOKE Podcast because we want to throw our burdens upon him and on his to take his yoke because he makes it easy for us. So, if you would please just introduce yourself. Tell us what's going on in your life, what's happened in your past, how you come to meet the Lord first and foremost, and why He's done in your life to help you succumb from what you've been going through.
Okay. My mother was a very devout Christian, and we spent a lot of time in church. Fact is, every time the doors were open, we were there. My dad was not a Christian man, and he did not attend church. The last thing my mom said when we got to church every morning was, don't say the words your daddy says at home. So I've always used that kind of as a joke because my dad was in the military, and after he got out of the military, he continued to talk like the military guys do sometimes. So I became a Christian when I was 10 years old. I attended Bible school. At Bible school, I felt the need to be baptized. I love the Lord. I knew at a very young age that I was like my mother. I was wanted to be a kind, giving person like my mother was. And I just got convicted when I was 10 years old at Bible school, and from then on, I've tried to do the best that I could to help take care of people, to be a good person, and I do love the Lord.
So, as a child, was there any hard things that God's brought you through that you faced that you were, I don't know, maybe traumatized with?
My mother was very sickly. She was in the hospital most of my growing up life. I did most of my homework actually in the hospital windows, sitting in the windows at the hospital in Durham. She was given up to die when she was 16 years old, and they brought her to Duke. And my dad sold his car to bring her by ambulance to Duke, and they couldn't get back, so we ended up in Durham. They had no way to get back, so we ended up in Durham, and I spent most of my life there, taking care of my mom, taking care of two brothers, taking care of my dad. So I kind of have always been like an adult. I love old people. I've taken care of grandmother. I take care of my friends' mothers, help them with them now as they've gotten older so that they can, do things. I love old people. Have a special place in my heart for widows.
Right.
And we'll go into that. But I do have a special place for widows and old people in my heart.
Okay, go ahead and elaborate on that, on the widows thing.
Okay. My husband died 14 years ago. He had cancer, and I had to be the one to take life support off of him. And that was quite a traumatic, very traumatic part of my life. And after all was said and done, when you're there by yourself and stuff, and you go through all the things widows go through, I asked God, what was it that He wanted me to do? I said, what is in your mind for me to do for the rest of my life? And it was just help widows to get through all the different stages that you go through when you become a widow. And that's what I started doing. I did it one-on-one. When I moved to the mountains, after my husband died, I decided I wanted to be in the mountains, so I moved to the mountains. And I finally found a church that I felt like this could be a bigger ministry than what I was doing on one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've had our second meeting now. Brian Gallion, the minister here, was all in favor of this.
Mm-hmm.
So it is open to the public here.
Right.
It's not just for our church, it's for the entire community. There are a lot of widows here.
Mm-hmm.
I've met a lot since I've been here. And I want them to feel very comfortable coming here, making new friends. We're going to have some fun. We're going to learn about the widows of the Bible, which I'm amazed there was 12 in the Bible.
Imagine that.
Yeah, there's 12 in the Bible, but there's a couple that they didn't mention as being widows.
Mm-hmm.
These are just other women in the Bible, like Mary and Margaret both were widows, but they're not part of the widow part of the Bible. So it's an interesting journey, and I'm hoping that we're going to be very successful in helping some women get through it here.
That's pretty neat. Okay, so what else? What else is there?
Well, I've enjoyed this community. I think this is a wonderful community. This is a wonderful church. We have a lot of ministries here. I haven't actually gotten to be a large part of all the ministries here yet.
Mm-hmm.
And starting this ministry myself, I'm kind of busy right now getting this going, but I'm really looking forward to doing some of the other ministries myself.
Good deal. So how do you think God has used your experiences to start up this ministry and to dive deeper into the widows and stuff of the Bible?
There are so many things that a widow goes through,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not saying widowers don't go through it too, because I know they do. Women are less likely to remarry after their husbands pass away than men are to remarry, and I think that makes us kind of a different. It kind of makes us a third wheel, really. That's what you kind of feel like when you become a widow after having been married for so many years. Mm-hmm. And I think that's some of the stuff that we need to get over. I was asked if I would do the widowers too, but I think I just have settled on the widows for the time being. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times I don't think women will talk as much around men as they will around a woman. And I think that there's a lot to be said. We spend a lot of sleepless nights.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of sleepless nights. So.
Okay, so let's look at your gifts that you've been given. What gift do you have that's working for your ministry?
Understanding.
Understanding.
I think a lot of sickness, a lot of death,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of different situations in my life, I think have led me to the fact that I have a heart to help people. And I think only God could have given me that.
Gotcha. So, you're talking about your ministry. It's called, what's it called again?
Mending Hearts.
Mending Hearts. And was this something that you came up with?
Actually, one of my friends came up with it. My friends have all been really excited about this, and they've helped me a lot. They've done a lot of research for me. Mm-hmm. So my friends have been very, very involved in this.
Do you want to talk more about how that name came to be? Or?
I think because that's exactly what it is. And sometimes you look over the most obvious thing. I think our ministry is to help mend the hearts of people that are now, most of them by themselves. you kind of become a widow a lot of times at an older age, hopefully.
Yeah.
I was 60 years old when I became a widow. But there's a lot of time spent alone and a lot of things you don't understand. And I think that sometimes, and if you go through grief counseling, you will find out that most people get mad at God. For a while, they're mad at God. And I went through a little bit of that, but my mother would have been real ashamed of me if she'd have known that I was mad at God for a while. But eventually, I got to where I needed to be.
I know that happened with me. I really got aggravated and mad, and I got in a verbal argument with God one day in the shower because my daughter had just been born for like 3 days, and God's like, I mean, my God, but she's real jaundiced, and she gets took to the hospital, and they said, all right, we're taking her Baptist to Brenner's because we can't do nothing. Her bilirubin was up, I think it was up 37, and that's extremely, extremely high for a child. So, and she was born in December. So, the doctor says, put her out in the sun, you'll be okay. Well, suntime in December don't happen too much.
No, it
at least where it's warm enough to be able to put your child in front of a window. So, here I am in the shower. I'm mad. I'm fighting mad. I'm crying. I'm feeling all these emotions. God, why are you doing this? Why? My dad passed away too when I was 8 in 1980 or 7 in 1980. So these emotions, I have nobody to go to talk about this. How do I raise my child who, I was a child when my dad passed away. I didn't have this experience of being a mentor by a God-fearing man. And even though I do carry the same characteristics as what he had, I got the same profession, I had his features, except he had dark hair. And so that being said, we all do argue with God. And even my mentor, David, he says he gets in verbal arguments still today with God, and then he comes to realize, okay, God, I'm sorry. And we all do that.
That's right.
It's funny to think about stuff like that happens in our lives and how we argue and fuss and try to quarrel with God, and this because we don't want to take time to sit back and just see His work in the long run. So let's see here. As we continue to dive into this, we want to talk about how do we get a hold of you? How does people get a hold of you if they want to come join up with your ministry?
I think that our pamphlet up there says that they go into cornerstonesparta.com, and that will tell when the meetings are. And I guess they could leave a message for me if they want me to call them. I'll be glad to.
Okay. All right. So, guys, you heard it there. You can come to cornerstonesparta.com. Check out the website there underneath ministries. Just look for Mending Hearts Ministry there. As we continue to discuss about how God's working you through, what's the I asked you about your childhood. So what's the biggest thing God's brought you through as an adult?
Actually, losing my husband, the love of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I was not ever able to have children, but through marrying him, I had 2 grown stepchildren.
Mm-hmm.
And after we married, we had 2 grandchildren. And now I have 3 great-grandchildren, girls, and I'm expecting twins in October.
Wow. Look at you.
I'm excited.
I would be too. Yeah,
I tell everybody I got to go through not having to raise kids and get the good stuff.
So losing your husband was the worst thing. So what's been the joy? What brings you joy? in life today?
I think my grandkids. My grandkids bring me joy, and my great-grandkids bring me joy. My granddaughter calls me weekly. I'm gaga to them, so she calls me weekly. My great-granddaughter talks to me on FaceTime and stuff, and she is a pistol ball, I'm telling you. She's a lot of fun.
Amen. So, tell us about, what's your favorite verse in the Bible? I know you've got this sitting up here. Is that it?
Yes, that is my favorite verse. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shall thou trust. His truth shall be the shield and buckler. That actually made me feel protected when my husband passed away. I never spent a whole lot of time by myself. And it seems like when my husband passed away, less people come around you. I think they get afraid. They don't know what to say. And I blamed it for a while on them. I thought my friends would just kind of let me go, you know, but I think they really don't know what to say. I don't know, unless you have experienced that yourself.
Yeah.
You can experience death, but experiencing a husband or a wife, that's quite different. That person's in the house with you all the time. My husband was a deacon in the church. We did a lot of church activities and stuff. It's very different. It's very different.
So, as we continue to just go on to the things that are going on with you, what's your habits? What kind of hobbies you like doing now? Is it based on stuff that you and your husband used to do? Is it stuff that you just picked up a few months ago, last year? How do your hobbies with that?
My hobbies are puzzles and flowers. I love to put together flowers. I love to do flowers for people, and I love to do puzzles. And I usually take those around to the rest homes and let them put them up in the patient rooms and stuff, you know. So that's another thing we want to do. I want to get the widows involved in the community. We need to do some stuff in the community. We need to volunteer to do some stuff in the community. There's a lot of things here that could be done. So there's a wood ministry here. And you know, I have asked several people about this, but I think Jesus said in the Bible that he protects the widows and the children. We kind of got lost somewhere in there. The widows have kind of gotten lost there somewhere. I don't feel like we've always been protected. I'm sure there's some of the widows that really struggle financially. And I've already got one probably that is attending some of the meetings that struggles. I've been blessed in life that I had a good job and I'm okay, but I know that there are widows that are not. We have a wood ministry here, and I don't know that any of the widows that have ever been approached about, do they need wood? You know, some of them may heat with wood or use wood or something. You know, that's another thing we need to know. We need to know if there's a need here for a widow, we need to know it and figure out how we can help.
Right. I agree 100% with you on that. So, through the loss of your husband, how have you seen God's faithfulness in difficult times?
I think he's with me all the time. I travel a lot. My brother lives on the Outer Banks, and he's my only living relative, blood relative. I've got lots of family, but they're not blood family. but everybody is a long ways from me, so I travel a lot, and everybody says, you travel a lot by yourself, you're not scared to go by yourself? And I'm like, no. When I get in the car, I say, Jesus, take the wheel, and I'm off and gone. So I try not to be afraid to go, or if I'm needed to take care of somebody. I just took care of a friend about a year ago that had a knee replacement. I went to Florida to take care of her. So, and she's a widow.
Okay. So let's see. I got a question that we ask a lot of people the same thing. I want to save that to the end.
Okay.
But let's say with the loss of your husband, you said how many years ago was it?
14.
14. How does that impact your holidays now? Does it still bring up some hurt feelings, or are you at peace with everything knowing?
I'm kind of at peace with it now. It took a long time. My husband loved Christmas, loved the decorations. I love decorations. I love everything that goes to Christmas, the programs, the music, the everything. And he used to call me his Christmas person, and I would stay up all night and decorate, and he'd get up the next morning and he'd say, you did all this during the night? And I'm like, yeah, I did it all during the night. So I think about that, and I think about every year, plus I decorate my friend's house that I helped her with her knee surgery. I decorate her house at Christmas. And the last thing her husband always told me, he says, it looks prettier every year. He said, I don't know how it can get any prettier, and it always does. But that's kind of like what I like to do. I'm a decorator. I should have been an interior decorator because I love it. But
Right.
I worked with the public my whole life. So I guess that's why I like people, is because I worked for the public for my whole life. I worked for Duke Energy, and I worked for the bank. I worked for an old mill studio, so I've only done things that were public oriented my whole life. So
what's one thing that makes you smile?
One thing is that cross out there by the road that we put up during Christmas and put flowers in. It makes me smile every time I ride in here.
All right, so.
And my great-grands.
Oh, yeah.
And my grandbabies. And
we were talking about the things that happen whenever we lose someone in our life. How do you, once you find out that someone is a new widow or just been widowed, what do you say? How do you approach someone like that who has just lost someone, their spouse, their husband?
the biggest thing that I tell them is to stay busy themselves. The more time you have to think, the worse things are on you. So if you just stay busy, I'm the busiest person you probably know. So I volunteer with things. I volunteer with the sheriff's department. If there's something that someone wants me to do, I do it. I never say no to anybody. If there's something you want me to do, I'll do my best to do it. So, but the widows and the old people, I think, are really the things that I'm so, my heart is with them.
So, as you encourage others by telling them to stay busy, how do you work God into their busyness? How do you how do you show the love that God has for the widows?
I think that communication is the basic thing that we have to have with that. I met a lady in one of the restaurants here. She asked me if I wanted to join her for breakfast, because there wasn't any seats and I was just gonna order something to go. So she said, "Do you want to join me for breakfast?" And I said, "Yes, that would be great." I don't meet strangers too often, so we sat down and started talking, and this is a God thing, because when we sat down and started talking, she said, "I recently lost my husband, and we had a place up here, and I decided that I wanted to move here." I said, "God just put it in my face." Just put it in my face. And this keeps happening to me over and over. Now, this could be nothing but God. He keeps throwing these widows at me, basically, and we talk, and we go through some of the things they're going through. I've been through those things. I know how hurtful they are. A lot of families don't understand death. They don't understand what it is to say, "I don't go to mom's as much anymore because dad's not there." It was hard for me when my mother died to go to my mother and dad's house. And it's the same thing with a husband, for children and stuff like that. It's hard to go back there. And I think that's something that really hurts your feelings. And then there's other people like, the children don't want you to talk about their dad. When he's passed away, they can't handle you talking about him and stuff. You have to talk about him. Fact is, at my meeting this week, I think you and I discussed it a few minutes ago, but at the meeting this week, we had a small group. The weather was bad, people had appointments and stuff like that. We had a smaller group. This was the meeting that really meant a lot, because I told my story of how my husband passed away, and I let each one of them tell their story. And then I said, "How did that make you feel? How did you feel telling that story?" We had a lot of tears, and there's going to be some tears, we had a lot of tears, but we still had a lot of, we talked about the person that meant the most to us. And that person's gone, but you don't stop talking about them. You don't forget them. Fact is, it's quite the opposite. And I think that's very important, that they have some other people that are experiencing the same things to talk to about it, and know that they're not in this world by themselves. Because I felt very alone. I felt very alone because I did not have children. I didn't have anybody there that I knew, because I had moved to Charlotte and was working in Charlotte at the time my husband passed away. I didn't know anybody there, didn't grow up with anybody there, and other than my church, I didn't have many friends there. So, because I worked all the time. I worked 10, 12-hour days. So, I think it's important that there's people that have experienced the same thing. People can come up and say, "I know what you're going through." Well, when there's a death, you know what a person's going through, but you don't know what it's like to lose a husband or a wife. It's quite different. That person's with you all the time, and then that person's not. You do a lot of praying.
Speaking of praying, how important is that, to be able to pray and to communicate with God that way?
It's important to me, and I guess it's probably the most important thing that I probably do. And I know you have the prayer team. That's another thing that I would like to experience. The prayer team, I would like to be, I don't think that praying in public is necessarily my best trait. I don't even like to close my eyes. I like to pray. I like to just talk to him. Not so much praying to him, I like to talk to him.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I'm talking to him, I just rather do it with my eyes open. So, and that would be strange to a lot of people, but that's the way I feel.
We can pray standing up. We can pray kneeling. I was listening to a minister just a few weeks ago talking about what's the correct posture for prayer. You know, some knelt, some stood, some laid, some bowed. You know, and I'm not going to tell you what all they were in the Bible, but I can't remember. But anyway, heck, Daniel even prayed in a petting zoo, if you think about it, you know, with the lions, you know. So we got Peter praying in the swimming pool as he's submerging in water. God help me, you know, with all these things that are going on, prayer is so important. It doesn't just give you the sense of relief, but it helps others to be able to come and talk to you and to share that experience, to share that burden with you. As we finish up here, you mentioned something to me before we started. You said that you was a miracle person. Tell me about that, if you would.
Okay. In 2019, I was diagnosed with non-alcoholic cirrhosis of the liver. They found it by mistake. They were examining my lungs and found that I had that. And I'm like, my dad was an alcoholic. I don't drink. I don't have cirrhosis of the liver. That's what I told the doctor. I said, I can't have cirrhosis of the liver. He said, you do. He said, you do have that. Well, I'm going on 7 years now. And so far I've not had any problems with it. I try to do as I'm told and eat as I'm supposed to eat and stuff. And I don't have problems, but God is keeping me here for a reason.
Amen.
And to me, I think mending hearts is my reason. Right now, mending hearts is my reason.
That's awesome. Guys, first of all, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for asking me.
We appreciate your testimony, your vulnerability, how you just opened up to us and tell us the things that might be a little personal and might still have hurt sometimes. So thank you guys. Thank you for that. And guys, thank y'all for coming on. Don't forget to find us on Facebook. We always do prayer there Monday through Friday. Send us messages if you need any kind of prayer for healing, for just well-being. We'll do that every day, Monday through Friday on His Yoke Ministries. Don't forget to like, share, and comment here. Hit that subscribe button wherever it is. If it's over here, up there, wherever. I don't know. I'm kind of new to this still too. So yeah. Guys, thank y'all very much for everything you do. Hey, we love y'all, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye.